Jesus is arguably the most popular figure in all of human history. And with that, there have been various teachings about Jesus from various sources that have spread all over the world. So in this episode, I'm going to be looking at some teachings and beliefs about Jesus that those who aren't necessarily too familiar with the various teachings about Jesus may not have heard about before. Hey guys, welcome back to FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and stay tuned till the end of this episode because I think some of these may surprise you, even if you think that you know everything that there is to know about all the teachings of Jesus. Okay, so start off with number 10. Jesus spoke multiple languages. Aramaic was the main language spoken by Jews in the first century in the area of Palestine. And like most Jews, Jesus would have learned how to read the Torah and other Jewish scriptures in Hebrew. That, of course, would be a different language than Aramaic. Now, did Jesus speak Greek? Well, most scholars say that it is likely because he talked to a centurion. That's recorded in the book of Matthew chapter 8 verses 5 to 13. And also he spoke to Pilate, and that's recorded in Matthew chapter 27 verses 11 to 14. And they were people who were speaking Greek. Also, the Romans spoke in Latin, but Greek would have been how they interacted with Hellenistic Jews at that time. For number 9, Jesus referenced other scriptures that are not included in the Bible. Okay, this is a pretty surprising one. So in the book of Luke chapter 20 verses 34 to 36, Jesus is reported to have said this, "And Jesus answering said unto them, The children of this world marry and are given in marriage, but they which shall be accounted worthy to obtain that world and the resurrection from the dead, neither marry, nor are they given in marriage. Neither can they die any more, for they are equal unto the angels, and are the children of God, being the children of the resurrection." Now, there's another passage similar to this in the Bible, but this quote is enough. But there's actually no part of the Bible that states that the angels don't marry. Where this passage is found, by the way, is in the book of Enoch, which is not part of the Bible. And in the book of Enoch, chapter 15, verses 6 to 7, in direct reference to angels, says this, "But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you. As for the spiritual ones of the heaven, in heaven is your dwelling." Number 8, Jesus' last name was not Christ. We hear Jesus Christ, sometimes even Jesus H. Christ, so often that sometimes people think that that's a surname. But it's not. Especially around the time of Jesus, people didn't really have last names. They were identified in reference to their parents mainly. And the book of John chapter 6 verses 42 says, "They said, Is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How can he now say, I came down from heaven?" Just in case you're wondering, the word Christ comes from the Greek word Christos, which means anointed one. Now let's talk about Nazareth versus Nazarene. So the book of Matthew states that Jesus came from Nazareth, and this is so that he would be called a Nazarene. But that's why Jesus is often referred to as Jesus of Nazareth. But there are some disagreements about whether Nazareth was an actual city during the time of Jesus, and whether or not it was actually something different. Because you see, the Nazarenes, well, they were a sect of Jews who are mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls and connected to the Essenes. Now check this out. The Essenes were a Jewish sect located in what is now known as West Bank, and they lived very similar lives to how Jesus lived his life according to the Gospels. Now, this may have been what the Gospel of Matthew was referring to, not necessarily Jesus coming from a place called Nazareth. Jesus having half siblings. Well, the Gospels tell us that Jesus had brothers. The book of Matthew chapter 12 verses 46, Luke chapter 8 verses 19, and Mark chapter 3 verses 31. Also, Matthew chapter 13 verses 55 to 56 says the following words, "Isn't this the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother's name Mary? And aren't his brothers' names James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Aren't all his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all these things?" All right, guys, so we reached halfway in this episode. Before we get into the last 5 entries, I just want to let you know about One of our popular videos on this channel, The Biggest Lies About Jesus. If you haven't seen that video already, it's pretty similar to this one, but we go into a lot more misconceptions and various different beliefs that may not necessarily be accurate when it comes to Jesus. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll link to it below in the video description section where you can enjoy it after this episode. Okay, moving on to number 5. Jesus frequently showed a lot of emotion. But you see that many modern representations of Jesus, they portray him as being in Zen-like mode all the time. But throughout the Gospels, we see Jesus doing things like flipping tables over in anger. That's in Matthew chapter 21, verses 12 to 13. Also, Jesus cries in John chapter 11, verses 35. And there are also multiple references of Jesus showing compassion to people. So we see there's a wide range of emotions happening here. He wasn't just some stick figure, meaning like he was just very straight and zen all the time. For number 4, only one miracle is actually recorded in all 4 Gospels. There are over 40 miracles that were recorded in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But while most of them occur in more than one account, there's only one miraculous event that makes it in every single Gospel, and that's the feeding of the 5,000. You can find this in all the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Specifically, Matthew chapter 14, verses 13 to 21, Mark chapter 6, verses 31 to 34, Luke chapter 9, verse 12 to 17, and John chapter 6, verses 1 to 14. For entry number 3, where Jesus would be buried was actually prophesied according to the Old Testament. After Jesus died, the book of Matthew tells us that there was a rich man who offered up his burial plot. And you can check this reference in Matthew chapter 27, verses 57 to 60. But the Old Testament book of Isaiah prophesied about Jesus' burial, and it's believed that this was made hundreds of years before. And that passage goes as follows. He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. And that's taken from Isaiah chapter 53, verses 9. Now, number 2, well, this is going to be well known to the Muslim community, but not necessarily as well known to other groups. But in Islam, Jesus, or Isa as he's referred to, is considered an important prophet and also called the Messiah. Islam also holds a belief that Jesus was born of a virgin, but he wasn't the Son of God. Muslims believe that God brought Jesus to heaven and that he didn't actually get crucified. So that's a difference there. But no, he's seen as the Messiah also in the religion of Islam. And for number 1, the Bible offers some clues to the birth year of Jesus based on the reference to rulers of the time. And they even mention that John the Baptist began preaching in the 15th year of Tiberius Caesar's reign. Now, Tiberius Caesar succeeded Augustus Caesar in 14 AD. And this would mean that it was approximately 29 AD. Now, John the Baptist was 6 months older than Jesus, according to the Bible, and Jesus began his preaching ministry when he was about 30 years old. So Jesus was born around 3 to 2 BC at the latest. Even Pope Benedict XVI believed that 1 AD wasn't an accurate birth year for Jesus. The Pope estimated that Jesus' birth was between 7 to 2 BC. And just like that, we reached the end of another episode. This was a look at 10 lesser known teachings about Jesus. Really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Maybe a lot of this was new information to you. But as always, I want to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Leave a like if you found this video informative, entertaining, educational, and don't forget to share this with your family and your friends. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when we post new episodes here. Here at FTD Facts, we love to explore the world. We share facts and information about countries, cultures, religions, and people. So if any of those topics interest you, stick around here, join the FTD Facts family, and I'll see you guys in the next one.